Welcome to A1TV, and tonight we're going to speak to a very, very special guest, and I class a very good friend of mine, and a cricket-based guest, because tonight we're going to speak to the one and only Luke Gillian. Now, people who are looking at your screens right at the moment would know that face anywhere, and for those cricket fans would have may have seen him in the stands of anywhere in the world. Luke Gillian, welcome to A1TV, the Mark Show. It's great to chat to you, Luke.
Stoney, it is a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to see you for the first time in what would be a dozen years, I reckon.
Yeah, around 12 years, 15 years, Luke. But when I found out that you weren't too far away and that you were following my show or following my social media, I thought, I've got to get Luke on because Luke's story is exquisite. And, Luke, I want to start way back at the start on your nickname Sparrow, how you got that, and about how you started what we know, or we used to know, waving the flag. So take us through those few steps at the moment.
You can blame Cameron Hayes in Class 7D, 1982, for calling me Sparrow. And when I asked him why Sparrow, he just sniggered and said, why not? And that's where it stuck. I mean, there's nothing more interesting or risque about it, but that's it. And every time I speak or see or write to Cameron, he will always refer to me as Lukey Sparrow. Nothing more out of that.
Does anybody know you as anything else but Sparrow?
No, other than Luke. Although my mother will call me Edward, which is my official first name. And as many across the world will know, when your mother calls you by your first name, you are in trouble. So but I'm back here in Port Lonsdale looking after Mum now, who's 84. So without me, she'd be in some dire straits, and therefore she hasn't used the word Edward since I've been back for 6 weeks.
How does a young person growing up say themselves, I want to travel the world, I want to follow cricket, and I want to join a company or make a company or start a company called Waving the Flag? How did that come about, Luke?
I first left home in 1995, went to the West Indies. And initially, I inquired about doing a tour with Channel 9. They hosted them at the time, and I received the brochure. And it was 10,000 Australian dollars if there was any change from that, just to do 2 test matches. I went, absolutely not. No, there's no way. And I thought at the time that was all you could do, was to go on a tour. And I decided I'd just pack the bags and the passport and lobbed over into Barbados for the first test on March 31, day 1 of the test. And that's what I call now Flag Day. Understanding of that was, my first day of international cricket. And it took about 30 minutes into the game where I went, wow, this is awesome. I can do a lot more of this. And so Barbados became Antigua, became Trinidad, Jamaica, became the World Cup in 1996 in India and Pakistan. South Africa, England 97, then Pakistan 98. And 99 was a big year where there was the West Indies, World Cup in England. We had Sri Lanka, we had Zimbabwe, a massive year of cricket. And then on to New Zealand in 2000. And it was sitting there with my mate. And we'd been around the world now for 5 years. And we could see an official tour group sitting up in the Vance stand at the Basin Reserve. And we thought, surely there must be a way to get more people to travel the world without doing a tour that's going to cost you $5,000 to go to New Zealand for 2 tests. And we'd been backpacking for 5 years. We thought, there's no reason that we just couldn't develop something ourselves. And what we wanted to do was encourage people to watch the cricket, support the cricket affordably, do it the way we'd done it, because there was nothing available. And we knew that it wasn't, going to be our retirement fund, but the focus was just to get people around the world to support the cricket team. Because surprisingly, after 5 years, there was only myself and Darren. There was Bomber and Blair, Coach, Mickey B, handful of other guys and girls, of course, that had been on a number of tours, but there was no one else. There wasn't a growth of people traveling to watch the game. So that's where we started waving the flag, because that's what we did at every cricket tour. Every time we went to the game, the flag was raised high in the stands, no matter where we were. And that was what the cricket team identified with. If you were to ask Steve Waugh or Justin Langer, And the likes from that era, it's always, yeah, look up in the stand and there's Lukey and the boys, flag raised, proudly supporting us no matter where we were. And I guess I found myself in the position that I am now based on going to Pakistan in 1998 and being the only Australian spectator to do the whole tour. There was myself and Brad at the first test, and he went home, and then it was just myself and a couple of other blow-ins from one test or one day. And being arguably the only Australian that the TV cameras could focus on day after day, and that was when Foxtel broadcast into Australia, as that was the only format with which you could watch it. Not to say that that would have helped, or if not hindered, if it wasn't on free to air, but being the only focus, people went, wow, Pakistan, great. And there was me on the TV. Anytime a boundary was struck, every time a wicket fell for an Australian bowler. And henceforth, from that moment, it just into 1999, when we had that big year of tours, there was me on the TV. And so people just contacted me and said, I want to do what you do. I want to do what you do. I want to do what you do. And so hence that was what got the snowball rolling into Wellington in 2000. And inbox was just full of people that wanted to do a cricket tour, wanted to go around the world and do it as we did it. So if you want to know where Waving the Flag started and what I do now, yeah, it all came from that, all came from exposure on TV and just answering the call of people wanting to do what I did.
Did you ever think, Luke, because there's a couple of things that come to mind. One is about how you fund yourself, because we all have funds and we all have, monies to travel, but you travel for 5 years, following the Australian cricket tour around to different countries of the world, waving your flag, as you said, because I've seen you on many programs or many promotions, and the people watching the show will know Luke is the one with the flag, the Australian flag. There's also a cricket bat involved. What was the cricket bat? Significant of the cricket bat? Was that just a point of difference that you made with the flag? And how did the funds come to run that 5 years?
Chef by profession. So going up to the United Kingdom after the West Indies, where I had an ancestry visa that allowed me to work for 4 years. Getting a job as a chef is straightforward up in the UK. You can walk into any pub on the corner and they'll take you in. So there was no shortage of opportunity to boil eggs for a living, as I say, in between cricket tours. I was fortunate enough to secure a position on the Formula One Grand Prix circuit. And I was the Formula One management head chef for 3 seasons around the world. We're feeding F1 executives and TV production crews. And at one point I catered for 3 of the racing teams. And so I did that. And then in between races or in between cricket tours, I went from one circuit to another, really. And then I left at the end of the 1998 season, and that's when I went to Pakistan, and that was the catalyst where I found myself now organising tours, which didn't allow me to go back on the Formula One, even though I sit here today and say I would go back on it tomorrow. Absolutely, best job I've ever had. But regarding the cricket bat, so insofar as that's what funded me for 5 years. Cooking and cricket, no problem whatsoever. People kept asking if I had a trust fund, or if I had inheritance, but no, I just worked hard, saved the money, and invested in watching cricket. That's what I enjoyed.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. We were at the World Cup in '96, and I bought a cricket bat. My mates and I wanted to play a game. We didn't have a bat. There was no sports shop in the village that we were. Happened to find some kids playing cricket on the street with this rudimentary piece of wood, just carved out of a tree. It wasn't a cricket bat per se. It was just one single piece. Anyway, slung the guys $5 and bought that bat. And I took that with me to South Africa the following year. And I'm not sure why I was walking the streets of Johannesburg with a cricket bat. Many would argue that was just part and parcel of walking the streets of Johannesburg to look after oneself. But I found myself going to the game with it. And Steve Hoare brought up his 50. If you remember the day he and Greggy Blewett batted all day. And Greggy Blewett got his 200 and Steve got 160. Marvellous day. But anyway, Steve brought up his 50. And he looked at the crowd. He raised his bat to us in the crowd as batsmen do. And I instinctively, as he pointed the bat to us, I instinctively pointed the bat back to him. And my mate said, "You bloody idiot, put the bat away." And from that, that's where it started, honestly. Just pointing the bat at the batsmen when they pointed it at us to thank us for the support, pointed it straight back, so well played. And so that just became, I'm not going to say trademark, but it became day after day, match after match, flag in one hand, cricket bat in the other, a moment of significance on the field. Raise the bat and point it to the players as they pointed it to us.
How long did it take before that it took off, that you were recognised as a person was taking tours around the world and living a childhood dream to follow the cricket? Because I've had a conversation with you about this before, of how a person goes to 5 days, 1 days, and doesn't get sick of cricket, because you've got to be passionate about what you do. But how long before it took that people in the outer knew that Luke Gillian, Sparrow, as he was known, was taking tours to cricket around the world? How long did that take to take off?
Probably, I have to say, 2 years before there were significant numbers. And not to say that when the first tour was almost an invitational to India in 2001. Didn't ask anybody for any money because I didn't know what I was doing either. It's okay to say, come with me, and this is how I live a cricket tour. Very hard to put a price on that until one actually understood, the processes involved. And so really just, there's a match ticket and there's an Australian shirt. And thankfully at the time, the Australian Cricket Board, as they were named then, were all for it. Absolutely. We want more people to go around the world to watch cricket. And so they gave me about 100 excess Australian one-day playing shirts that they sell from the merchandise stores. So not official, just the replicas. But that's what I gave the guys when they came on the tour. So we had our shirt, everyone brought their own flag, and I organised the match tickets through each venue. So I ended up having about 60 join me in India that year. And that went through to South Africa the following year when I had my first official tour, where we were staying in backpackers, and there were 60 that joined us there. And then, when it launched the website, which was doing a daily blog, a match report, as we called it, or a tour report, every day after play, I'd go home, turn on the computer and write a report on what happened at the day's play. Not on the game, what happened on our side of the terraces, our side of the fence, who we met, what it was like getting into the game, the atmosphere, food, drink, who did what, who made a mistake, who slept in, who missed the first ball, just, little tidbits from, living life from our side of the fence. And that continued all the way through, where I found that there was, some 1,000 people a day visiting the website, just reading up on these tour reports and reading these postcards, and it was just incredible. And that just rolled into more and more people wanting to go on a cricket tour, where come 2004, we went to India with 250 people. Just staying in, rudimentary, just 2 or 3 star hotels near the ground. There's your match ticket, and nothing more than having a shirt and a flag and getting people to support the game and watch the cricket team. And that was what was important. That's what we started out to do, to get more people to watch the game, and to sit there with 250 people in the terrace was just outstanding. It was a proud moment to look at, knowing that this is something that came out of nothing. Just wanting to go to the game myself and sharing that passion with others.
So you found a niche market. We have the top end tours, which you talked about at the start, but you found a niche market and you thought, how can I travel the world and follow cricket, my passion, watch cricket every day, bring people along with me? But it was really a niche market. And I suppose the issue, and you and I have spoken about this, about the access to tickets, the accommodation you spoke about before, 2 and 3 star accommodation. And then you brought tours into it, like tours where you went to South Africa, you went to see parks there in South Africa. So you bought tours as well as experiences for people. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. When we first started, it was just going to the cricket and going home, finding a place to have a beer afterwards. And then it evolved into ensuring that people got the most that they possibly could out of their 1 week or their 2 weeks or their 4 weeks with us in Africa or Sri Lanka, India, Bangladesh, the West Indies. It didn't matter. So always had a day trip planned, a signature event or attraction within each city, albeit organising just a boat trip in Barbados, for example, or Antigua. Hop on a catamaran and sail around the island. Nothing more than getting a suntan on the water and drinking more rum, but including that to ensure that people got value for their time with us. It wasn't just the cricket, it was making sure that they could understand and appreciate the places that we went. And with that, it just evolved into people coming back time and again, to 4 years later, coming back to Barbados, 5 years later, going back to Sri Lanka, wherever it might have been. And that was all part of the excitement of planning and doing what I do, knowing that we've got multiple years to plan and prepare and think, right, how can we better it next time to give people a better experience, because that's what they want to take away. And that's what many people have said over the years. Said, oh, this is great. It's not just the cricket. It is, as you've said, Stoney, the experience of enjoying the game in Cape Town, enjoying the game in Calcutta, and experiencing that, because it's so vastly different. Every continent, every country, nothing is the same. So you can be prepared, but you've got to be prepared for where you're going. And that's what makes it difficult for some people to go on their own, which is why they want to go on a tour. And makes it a challenge for me, knowing that people come again, time and time again. I've had some people on tour now for 20 years, and you want to make sure that it's not just copy paste from what you did 4 years ago. And you'll say, okay, we did this 4 years ago. What can we do now?
So you've been to every test playing nation. How many are those? And have you got any stories that you thought, geez, that was scary? That was an experience that the flaggers had, that you can look back and go, geez, that was something like, because your memories and your diary would be incredible. In fact, you should write a book one day, because the experiences I know you've had along the way, I'm sure there's a couple there you could tell the viewers about the experience of a lifetime.
Well, there are 12 test playing nations. When I first started, there were only 8, and then, 9, sorry. And then we had Bangladesh become a test playing nation in June 2000. And we've since added Afghanistan and Ireland. So although I have seen first class cricket in Ireland, Australia played warm-up games over there. I've not been to Afghanistan, so it's the only test nation I've not been. But I do proudly say I am the only Australian spectator to have watched Australia play test cricket in every nation that they have competed. And that list now is, I've got seen 203 Australian test matches. And although it's been 24 years since we were in Pakistan, I've got to say that experience, even at the time, might have been hair-raising and terrifying. And I reckon I said a few times that I will never go back ever again. It really did sort me out. I'll put it that way. But looking back 24 years later and preparing for our tour next year, all those hair-raising moments that I had were they were exhilarating. They were just ingrained in the memory bank of just nostalgia, and I'm going to say fond memories now. You look back, you think, wow, that was awesome. And when preparing for next year, you think, yeah, that's right. We went here and we went there and we did this and I did that. I'd love to do that again, and I miss doing this, and I can't wait to go back there. And it's exciting to think we're going to go back. But when I look at the train journey that I took from Peshawar to Karachi, that was supposed to take, as I was told, 25 hours, just an overnight journey, which was nothing that I hadn't done in India in years before. It took 42 hours, ultimately, just delay after delay after delay after delay. And we had bandits come in the train one night and ransack the compartments. I got beaten up by some fellow who took offence to my standing at the window, looking out, seeing if there was anything spectacular in the Sindh Desert. And he beat me up with a teapot because I was standing too close, as he said, to, some fellow translated, some young fellow translated for him. I was standing too close to this pregnant woman sitting on the floor. I had no idea she was even there. And so later that night, as it happened to be, that lady gave birth in the compartment next to me. I was woken up for the dulcet tones of a baby breathing its first air. And, that was, just an exhilarating journey, which I said, well, never again. But we go back to Pakistan, and I thought, right, that's it. We're going to take the train from Karachi to Lahore, and from Lahore onwards to Rawalpindi and Peshawar, if we can play in Peshawar. The last time I was in Pakistan, the quality of the trains and the service have improved from when I was there in 1998. But it just lives with me as if it was last week, Stoney. And wanting to relive that time in Pakistan. Oh, I'm looking forward to it if we are allowed to go to the cricket, unfortunately.
Some of the people you've met along the way, Luke, I mean, the Australian cricket team, how long before, I've seen Steve Waugh's book, you mentioned his book, and there's things about the players recognise you, and, that must be a pretty exciting thing to know that the players of the cricket team, the Australian cricket team and cricket hierarchy, know who Luke Gillian is, know who Sparrow is, because you've been following for so long now.
Yep. That going to the game you get a lot more value from it if you know that the guys in the middle can actually acknowledge and appreciate you being there. And it's a lot different now than what it was 25 years ago, when I felt 26 now when I first started. Back then, you'd see players over the fence, or they'd come down and field the ball and say, oh, yeah, g'day, Lukey. Oh, by the way, yeah, we're having a beer at the hotel. Come for a beer after play to the hotel. Yeah, no problem. And then they just throw the ball back and the game would continue. I mean, that just doesn't happen now. If I go for a beer and you meet one of the players, it's purely by accident, as it might have been at Lord's in 2019. Lord's stay at London during the Lord's Test match. The players live opposite a pub, which is 50 yards across the road from the hotel, and that they're always going to go in there. And that's one place where you can have a pint and a beer or a soft drink with the players, and that's only by accident, never by design, as it was back then. We live in a different world, unfortunately, where social media prevents the players from interacting with myself and the guys that travel the world, and any other spectator for that matter, outside their own personal circles of where they might invite friends or family. One odd photograph of a player sitting at a bar drinking a soda water, captured at the moment with one eye shut, put on social media, can be construed as a player sitting there at 3 a.m. on his 17th gin and tonic, when it's not the case. And so the players, they just steer clear of that, which is unfortunate. I was fortunate to live in the days when I could have a drink at the bar, go to the players' hotel and sit down there with Haydos and Tugger, Stewie McGill, Justin Langer, Jason Gillespie, and have a pint, or have a feed.
There is a famous photo, Luke, with and I'm looking at it at the moment. Steve Waugh, Justin Langer, Brad Haddon, yourself sitting in a chair with. Now I believe were you involved with shirts, Bent Banani or something at one stage, selling shirts or merchandise? And there's a picture of you.
It's still going.
You're still going, yeah.
Yeah, my floral shirt company. That's what helps pay me to get around the world, but it helps pay the bills, and that's what colours everyone in the crowd. Everyone that comes on my cricket tour gets 2 or 3 of these floral shirts per test match, depending on where we go. But yeah, that photo that was through that was at the Lord's Test match. Who's the gentleman in the background?
That's a really good question. I'm not sure who it is. That Darren?
No.
So it's Steve Waugh, Justin Langer, Brad Haddon, and there's one other gentleman. I can't pick his photo
out. One of the great Olympic decathletes of all time.
Is that Daley Thompson?
The one and only. Yep.
There you go. So Daley Thompson's that photo. So what was that occasion?
That was preceding the Lord's Test match in 2019, which was my 200th Australian Test match, which was lauded by Cricket Australia, and they gave me a hotel room.
Really?
Yep. They took me down on the team bus, took me to Lord's on the training session before the Test match, 2 days before the test. And presentation, went into the long room, outwheeled 3 cakes, one with a 2 on it, one with a 0, one with a 0. And there's the team all dressed up. When Justin Langer walked over and presented me with a match shirt, embroidered, Luke Sparrow, Gillian, Lord's Test match, 200 Australian Test matches, and unbelievable. Then out onto the playing field with my flag in my floral outfit, where had photographs with the Australian cricket team pavilion in the background, and with a flag, Australian flag on the field, which is absolute no-no for Lords.
Now, with a person like back in 1985 who thought at that point that I'm going to do 200 Test matches plus, to be recognised like that as a 200 Test match, that you've gone as a supporter, taken how many people over the years, Luke? How many people have you taken on your tour? And who's actually the longest serving waver of the flag, apart from yourself?
That would go down to Kenny Bowden. Kenny, he went to the West Indies in 1995 as well, not with me, just travelled independently. He did a few tours, travelled independently himself, but he first joined me on tour to India in 2004. And then a couple of next saw Kenny again. Where was it? West Indies 2012? Can't remember.
Too many tests.
But he has done a lot of tours. He's done every tour since 2011, since he's retired. Guaranteed, he's gone all over the world, and same with so many other guys that travel with. They've walked Greenland. They've hitchhiked South America. They know how to travel the world. But when it comes to a cricket tour, there they go. Give me the money. They turn up because they just want to go to the cricket and enjoy the game with the people that they know they're going to enjoy the game with, guys that they haven't seen for a year or 2 or 3, if not more. They just turn up. They don't need their handheld, because what I do is creating that experience about watching the cricket, but enjoying the time and the places that we go through experience.
Now,
and so if that comes in mind, also, again, being able to interact with the cricket team and knowing at the end of every most cricket tours, I would just be presented with garbage bags filled with unwanted training kit. If not Australian playing sweaters and pants. My cricket team gets funded by the Australian cricket team, the cricket team in London, the nepotists. Every tour, I'll present the nepos with another dozen pads, whites, just pants, gloves, batting gloves. You can never have too many batting gloves. But every year, every cricket tour, the nepos will get re-kitted with kit, and any excess training kit is that then I distribute amongst the guys that have been on the cricket tours, the longest, or if they've gone to 3 or 4 every test match on tour, and they're still there you go, and divide it out as equally as best I can. But that's another reason why they come, because I'll give them a memento that the cricket team give me almost as a reward for thanks for coming again. Here you go. So henceforth, getting back to that photograph that you talked of, I walked out of the hotel, and that's when Steve Waugh and Justin Langer came in and said, Lukey, great to see you again. Listen, we're going out for dinner in 15 minutes with Daley Thompson. You coming? And said, absolutely. So went upstairs, got my jacket, came back downstairs into the cab, and off we went around to one of Daley Thompson's favourite restaurants, not too far from the hotel, and sat there and had dinner and told stories and had a cracking good time. And then, it was that's when I was after the Lord's photograph, and then that went out onto Cricket Australia social media. I was then contacted by somebody within the Australia High Commission who said, we're coming down to the function. Come down to the function tonight if you want. You're more than welcome. And so onto the team. I spoke with Australian cricket team manager again. Look, I'm invited down to your function tonight at Australia House on the Strand. Can I hitch you right in the bus? Yeah, no problem. So into the team bus, down to Australia House, and into this great function, always a pre-Lord's Test match, 2 nights before the Test match. The Australia High Commissioner invites the cricket team down, and it's a big black tie affair, except I'm there in my floral jacket and floral shirts, because that's all I had, as I called it, my formal florals. And
who just on that too, because I know you've played with the High Commission and broke your finger, so that's another story, and we won't go to that one. But just so now you've evolved into Australian Cricket Tours, and it's changed. When did it change, and how have you altered it at the moment? Because people can actually, if they go into AustralianCricketTours.com, they can pick up your tour diary and where you're going in the field. We'll talk about it in a moment. So, how has it evolved into what it is today?
I'm now 50 and I'm no longer 25 for a start.
Yeah.
So backpacking around and frugally living in filthy flea pit flop houses independently, is not something I just don't want to do anymore. I've been there, done it, traveled the world, and sent the postcards home. And the majority, so many people that have been traveling now with me for 20 years, they too have also grown up. They too appreciate, although we started backpacking in 2001, people now don't want to stay in the backpackers. I don't want to stay in the backpackers, and people just want more. People have a lot more disposable income. And so I guess when I look at what I do now, it's exactly what the reason why I started in 2001. Looked up in the stand, there was only high-flying tours offering 5-star hotels. And although we now stay in 4 or 5-star hotels, we still come in a lot more affordable than the official tour operators that do it. But it evolved, purely because we've all grown up and we all want to live a little more comfortably. But it doesn't mean I've discarded those who want to backpack around, because sitting aligned with my hotel tours, I also have my match ticket option. There's your match ticket, there's a dinner night before the test, meet everyone, but you can stay wherever you want to stay. Stay in your backpackers or your railway retiring room or on a hammock on the beach. But there's your match ticket and there's your dinner, there's a floral shirt. Sit with us at the game, have a cracking good time, join us after the game, we go out, everything, so it's really just cutting out the hotel, cutting out the airport transfers or any match day transfers if we have it. So many places you go in the world, you don't actually need a bus getting to or from a hotel. You can either get a rickshaw through South Asia, the 4 nations there. That's a lot easier than sitting in traffic in a big bus. It's easy just for 1 or 2 of you to hop into a rickshaw and buzz through the traffic. Motorbikes are another way. Just like you hire an Uber over here, you hire a motorbike with your phone over in Bangladesh or India. And that's it. So hop on the back and buzz off to the cricket, a lot easier than sitting on a bus. So we don't include that in most of our tours, but especially if you want a match ticket and dinner tour, that's the rudimentary basics to keep those coming, those that want to save money, but not do a big tour.
Very good.
So that all changed pretty much. I stopped. Wavingtheflag.com now points to AustralianCricketTours.com, and because it was very difficult to even today still shake the legacy of staying in backpack. You still get people today that say, "Oh, I want to do a cricket tour with you, but I don't want to backpack." So we don't backpack. We don't do guest houses. We haven't done that since we haven't stayed in a backpacker since 2006. But the nature of the brand Waving the Flag still sells it to a lot of people that we are what I call fooligans in the crowd, wearing a yellow shirt, just getting drunk and being dickheads, which is not we never were. But unfortunately, the way that the brand was positioned and even titled, that was what it represented to a lot of people. And but so now I had to just cut that out to right. We are no longer, although we still get a flag when you come on a cricket tour, we're no longer waving the flag. We are Australian Cricket Tours to actually support the game, just as we did before. But now I have to shake off the legacy.
Have you still got the bat, Luke? You still use the bat? Yep.
Depending on where we go. I've changed bats over the years. The original bat from India is now wrapped in bubble wrap in a cupboard and locked away. And I've had to transition over recent years to a plastic bat and into Australia to a foam bat, or even one made of balsa wood, for that matter, because of security thinking I'm going to walk into the game and clock someone with it.
Now, a couple of last ones, Lukey, before we go. Is it AustralianCricketTours.com? What's coming up for you and the tours? What are you coming up?
COVID aside, if there was no COVID, 2022, we go to Pakistan February, March for first visit in 24 years. At this stage, likely there won't be any spectators, but that can change. You know, I'm vaccinated, so I'm ready to go. But whether I'm allowed to go is another thing. Otherwise, we're back to Sri Lanka in June, July, which is our favourite place to tour. Just outstanding tour. We love it there. We've got our first test away against Afghanistan in September, which should be played in India. However, the India tour that's scheduled for October, November 2022 has been moved to February, March in place of the World Cup 2023. So we don't know what's happening in October next year, which means we don't know if the Afghanistan test will go ahead either. And I think it's all been moved because of COVID, pushed everything back as far as they can, but we still have to go to South Africa. We were due to go there this year in February, March, but that was postponed. So we've got to play those 3 tests again. Maybe we'll go to South Africa in October next year. Fingers crossed. But it's going to be a busy 2 years, 2022, 23, into 24. Looking forward to it. You know, so all this downtime while we haven't had any cricket, I've been feverishly writing these tour programs and all these information pages, which, you know, part of the tours themselves. You know, if you don't want to do a tour, all the information is still on the website. You know, how to get around India or how to get around the West Indies and what you can do and how, you know, best means of getting from A to B. So although I might sell the information as part of a tour, I also give it away. You know, just to get people across the board to visit the website and choose how they want to go and watch Australia play cricket, maintaining the original purpose of organising the tours and creating Waving the Flag was to get people to watch the game and support the cricketers, because there wasn't enough people doing it, and there probably still isn't. But if I can help encourage more people to get to the game on my side of the fence, I'll do what I have to do.
Now, the foreseeable future for Luke Gillian, no one knows it's going to happen tomorrow, but 15 years ago, I spoke to you and you said, Stoney, I've had enough. I'm going to give it away. And that was 15 years ago. Now you're 15 years on, and it seems as though you're exciting. The passion's still there. Desire's still there to do. They're still doing the tours. So you'll continue to do this for as long as you can, as long as you're healthy enough, and as long as your mum's okay, to continue on to just keep doing it because you love it so much.
I love it, and the people that come on to it love it. And that's the reason why I keep going. When I officially lowered the flag after Sri Lanka 2016, I said, that's it, no more. I wasn't going to go to India in 2017 because I just didn't have it in me anymore, just absolutely lost it. And so many people still went to India, still organised it for people, got their hotels and got their match tickets, and they all came back and just said, no, it was not awful, but they knew I wasn't there, and they said it was just not the same. Absolutely no. Just, but a very flat experience because for whatever reason, I was there. Not that I do anything remarkable other than bringing people together, but that's part of the passion, knowing that I can organise it and people are so much happier at the game if I've organised it and I'm there and I'm standing behind the product that I've created. And as I've always said, I'll go to the cricket anyway. If no one wants to come with me, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go. You know, it's not as if I base it on minimum numbers. If I don't get 20, I'm going to cancel the tour. No, we are going to go to the cricket. And knowing that people get so much more enjoyment out of me being there, you know, is the reason why, you know, I rekindled the passion, especially after 2019 Ashes when I was, celebrated by Cricket Australia and the cricket team, realising, wow, this is good. This is good. And so henceforth, that's where I relaunched with AustralianCricketTours.com, rebuilt new website, which is, you know, an ongoing every day, something new, something edited, something posted, got to be done. And so knowing that we're looking forward to, and everyone, now that we've been locked up for 2 years, everyone going, you know, looking forward to 2022 and 2023, you know, the numbers of people that have already booked now. You know, I only ask, $10 Australian per person to holding deposit for a test match, you know, even 2 years in advance. People have paid the money up front because they want to go. They want to lock themselves in. And it helps me to prepare it when I know that already, if I hold an Ashes tour in 2023, that's just about sold out.
What's the maximum, Luke? What's the maximum amount of people you take?
Arguably, there is no maximum based on the availability of tickets, and there's only a restriction on Ashes tours to England, because those tickets are officially distributed by Cricket Australia, and you've got to say you want 20, and that's it. You know, if you want any more than the 20, you want any more than the 50, well, it can be difficult to get because the grounds only hold, call it 20,000 or 25,000, if that. You know, but otherwise, anywhere else around the world, each venue, been going there time and time again. They actually ring me, email me, and say, look, how many guys are coming back? How many tickets do you want? I say, look, can you put 200 aside for me, and then I'll confirm it in 6 months or 3 months. And you know, that pretty much says there's no limit based on how many people have inquired previous tours, how many I expect. You know, and I might add 10 or 20% on expected numbers from the previous, but I've always got that window, you know, with a good relationship with the cricket venues that we go, where I can just change it.
One last one, Luke. Apart from Pakistan, what is the best cricket ground or the cricket match you've seen in your time since 1985? Can you pinpoint one?
1995? Yep.
Which one? The first one?
No, you said 1985.
Sorry, 95. My apologies.
95?
Yeah, 95.
Still goes down to Calcutta, 2001.
Why?
Australia lost, but it's not about winning or losing. It's the actual representation of Test cricket. And if you want an example of resilient, never give in, back yourself and win when you're from the most dire losing position, as India did, you know, asked to follow on, 274 runs behind. Yeah, go on. Yeah, about again, they bowled out for 171 in their first inning. Yeah, have another go, guys. You know, 657 runs later, and then Australia bowled out. And what always chills me, brings, you know, goosebumps. Oh, I've got it now. Yeah. India won that test match by 171 runs, the first inning total. So they only had to bat once anyway to win the test. And so to sit through the 5 days when from the outset Australia was on top, and then, you know, guys disappeared from the game on day 2, you know, to go and book their golf for days 4 and 5, you know, because yeah, it's going to be a walkover, yeah, another innings victory for Australia. And to watch India fight back as they did, and when they fought back, the crowd, it swelled and it swelled and it swelled in Eden Gardens, which at the time held 100,000. But the seats, mind you, the seats aren't any wider than your laptop computer. You know, it took 2 of us sitting there, actually took up 3, if not 4 seats just to sit comfortably. So unless you're this wide, you know, you might fit 120,000 people in there. But that aside, being a part of 70,000 people, the whole and seeing the stadium on fire at the end, everyone holding newspapers aloft, burning. It was just incredible emotion.
Best ground and best player saw in your time, Luke? Best ground scene? Best player scene, best ground you've been to?
My favourite ground is Windsor Park in Dominica in the West Indies.
Why?
Yep. Tiny little ground. Australia was the second test match to be played. Because when we went, there was just an excitement and a buzz within Dominica, this tiny little island in this tiny little town of Roseau, and the Australian cricket team were there. And there were just, 5,000, however many people in the ground. That's all it holds. Maybe it holds 7,000 or 8. But pretty much the island of Dominica was present. And it took us back to the halcyon days of watching cricket in the West Indies, where there was just music and there was carnival and there was noise and there was colour and there was this vibrancy about the game, which is so lacking now since the World Cup went to the West Indies in 2007 and all the stadium redevelopment gone. You go to the West Indies and it's just gone. You can't relive it as much as you want to. As much as people have never been to the West Indies, I can't wait to go to the West Indies and go to Jamaica, go to Sabina Park, and cancel it. Horrible place to go and watch cricket now. These big, unnecessarily large concrete stadiums have just killed cricket in the West Indies. More so taking the game away from the recreation ground in Antigua. As I've said for a long time, if you want to improve West Indies cricket, they need to bulldoze, mothball the Sir Vivian Richards cricket ground in the heart of the island and take the game back to the recreation ground in St. John's where everybody can reach. Everyone on the island can get there. Every bus across the island goes into the bus stand opposite the recreation ground. So 80,000 people live on the island, and I'll tell you what, they would let 80,000 people into the recreation ground if they could. So that's, going back to Dominica was just wow. Yeah, that's what it was like. So just loved it. Tiny little ground, but special emotion, which is what I love. And otherwise, best player, you got to say Steve Waugh. Going back to the early days, he's still my hero. Steve and I still text message every 6 weeks. How you going? How's the wife? How's the family? And keep in touch. Because he was a strong believer in what I did. He was a strong advocate for my traveling the world. Love what you do. Thanks for the support. Thanks for the support. Thanks for the support, which when you know you're going to be appreciated, you just keep going. Yep, I want to go to the next one. I want to go to the next one. So to say to Justin Langer, I could talk about seeing what should have been Justin Langer's last ball of his test career in Pakistan in 98. He was out first ball in Rawalpindi. First inning of the second test, bang, LBW, more out than the first test. And everybody said, nah, not out. Went, oh, are you kidding me? That should have been his last ball. He should have been finished after that. But he went on to score 116. And there we go. And then test career all the way through to 2006, lasted another 18 years from there, And so, that's another example of just never give in.
Lukey, Gillian, Sparrow, AustralianCricketTours.com. Thanks for joining on A1TV, the Mark Show. Absolute pleasure. We will catch up soon, but thanks very much.
Yep. Look forward to it.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, Tony. Much obliged.